Welcome to PWR Weekly. I'm the man they call Meathead, not a member of Mustache Mountain, but I do have my two friends from around the way, Mustache Mohill, maybe? It's the lovely Linda Kay and Matthew, the busted lip, busted open, Thomas. Matthew,
Dedication.
what happened?
Dedication. We hadn't got any color here in a long, long time. And I mean, sometimes it enhances the storytelling. So, and that's what I want to do today. I wanted to enhance our storytelling. People want to see our dedication, and that's the least I can do for our wonderful audience.
Keeping with the trends. I mean, we see it on our television for the color. It's about time we do it here on PWR Weekly.
And they don't put disclaimers on there anymore. Kids or adult males don't try this at home. So yeah, Matthew's just doing what he saw on the TV.
Matthew, Linda, doing what they got to do for PWR Weekly. The people that do things for us here at PWR Weekly are our sponsors. Matthew, start us off with Collar and Elbow, and Linda's got a special announcement as well.
That's the clothier known as Collar and Elbow brand, available exclusively at collarandelbowbrand.com. Head on over there, do all of your shopping needs. The cool thing about collar and elbow clothes is you can wrap them up, put them under a tree, or you can just tie them up real tight and stock them in a stuffing. So whatever. Oh, you should also put stuffing in your stockings too, because stuffing is a fantastic dish. But that's beside the point. If you want to save money on clothing, not necessarily the stuffing part, go to collarandelbowbrand.com. Promo code Linda K, LINDAKAY saves you 10% for all of your holiday shopping needs.
And you could be wearing the brand new Brotherhood of the Collar and Elbow. But Linda, when we get busted open on our lips and we need some medical attention and we need some help with that, who helps us out?
We can visit our friends at ProWrestlingInsurance.com. This is the final week of open enrollment to get health insurance coverage. But keep in mind, Pro Wrestling Insurance also specializes in supplemental coverage. Now, the supplemental coverage can be added on
not the
any
nutrition place called Subs. It's the supplemental coverage.
Supplemental coverage, yes. That can be added any time of year. So make sure to visit our friend Chris at ProWrestlingInsurance.com. Let him fill you in on how you can get paid if you get hurt. Find out about that coverage. ProWrestlingInsurance.com. Coverage as low as $9 a month. Visit Chris, and maybe you can be sporting a ProWrestlingInsurance.com t-shirt as well.
Oh, wait, thanks for putting them on the glass. We didn't even have to ask. That's amazing. I mean, that's what the clicks are for. There's people in the links half the time that put the time, little timestamp, and it puts it up on the glass with the sponsor's name right at this point. All right.
To remember the sponsor name.
Right. That's what it is. A little sacrifice. You do yours, Matthew busts open.
Maybe you find yourself bleeding from the face and you need some insurance coverage. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you nick yourself trying to groom out a beautiful one of these little bad boys right here.
You do.
I'm going to ruin a lot of Christmas pictures this year. I promise you that. All right, let's talk about Ring of Honor's Final Battle 2022. Live, it was in College Park Center on the University of Texas, Arlington. Let's run down the results real quick. We had United Empire's Jeff Cobb taking on Mascara Dorada with a nice win. Mascara Dorada took out Cobb, and Cobb came back and pinned Dorado. Jericho Appreciation Society's Daddy Magic, Matt Menard and Cool Hand Angelo Parker took on Shinobi's Shadow Squad, the Cheeseburger, and Eli Isom. It looks like the double DDT, Parker pinning Isom. Willow Nightingale from AEW took on Trish Adora. Willow Nightingale with the big win. The Kingdom, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, along with Maria Kanellis Bennett, a fan favorite at Blizzard Brawl this year, took on Top Flight, Dante and Darius Martin. It looked like there was some issues going on there. Top Flight definitely here to stay, obviously, with a big win over the Kingdom. Now, the pay-per-view proper. AR Fox debuting in Ring of Honor with Blake Christian to take on Dralistico and Roosh. Is just absolutely ripped. Well, the winner of the match is going to be AR Fox with a 450 in the big pin. First off, after I ran off all those pre-matches or pre-show matches in the opening match, Matthew, did you see this card and did you happen to catch the pay-per-view?
Missed it. I caught the rundown and the recap, but my goodness, that pre-show sounded like a card in and of itself.
Linda Kay, the ROH Women's World Championship match. the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, Mercedes Martinez, one-on-one with the Fallen Goddess, Athena. We have a winner and a new Ring of Honor Women's Champion in Athena.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised that Athena got the title, seeing as far as AEW television, at least, we've definitely seen a lot of Athena leading up to Final Battle, where we saw vignettes or promos with Mercedes Martinez and Athena leading up to the match, but we really haven't seen too much Mercedes Martinez defending that title really much on AEW television too much, at least on Dynamite or Rampage, that is. So seeing how Athena has just been utilized more, we're seeing that big character shift. It wasn't too much of a surprise for me that she's now the Ring of Honor Women's Champion. I just wonder, are they going to focus or showcase, the Women's Championship more on AEW television now that Athena is the champ?
And you make a great point. Our complaint, I don't know if this is yours, Linda, but it's definitely been Matthew and mine, and some of the vocal minority in the wrestling community has said it's way too much Ring of Honor story in our AEW TV. It's like having too many bananas in my cereal and not enough Cheerios. You know what I mean? Here's a match that felt like it didn't fit. Swerve in Our Glory, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland took on Shane Taylor Promotions, which was JD Griffey and Shane Taylor. The match came out of nowhere, and it feels like it was an AEW story involved in Ring of Honor. Your thoughts on that, Matthew Thomas?
Yeah, no, I think it's a valid complaint. I mean, that's AEW is the home of Ring of Honor right now. That's really the only place that you can see any of this stuff develop and any of this stuff progress. And as much ROH stuff as you have had in your AEW, a lot of this still seems to come out of nowhere. A lot of this stuff seemed to be thrown together and booked in backstage segments here in the last couple of weeks. Now, I will say AEW, as much time as they take an AEW proper between pay-per-views, they still have a way of waiting until 2 weeks or a week before the pay-per-view to kind of book a lot of stuff for the show. So that's not necessarily exclusive to ROH, but no, absolutely. Right. I think that ROH would benefit for some separation and some ROH exclusivity, whatever that looks like. Now, if it's another YouTube show, I don't know if people are going to go out of their way to find that with the 18 and a half plus hours of wrestling they are watching already on a non-pay-per-view week. But no, it's ROH and AEW are synonymous right now. In AEW, since the absorption of ROH, they've been trying to find a way to book ROH really in 3 hours a week of proper TV programming.
Linda K. Swerve deserts his partner and leaves Keith Lee high and dry, but Keith Lee gets Swerve in Our Glory the victory.
Yeah, we saw this coming out of the previous AEW pay-per-view. However, I too learned a little bit more about this match and their opponents just recently on Dynamite. So again, is this something that could have built a little bit more on AEW television, or is this something that's just focused more on a match built strictly more so for the ROH pay-per-view? But we're going to involve a big storyline of two major AEW talents. That's just where it's like, I get if they need, or I'm saying need, but would like to have this match take place at the ROH pay-per-view. But I kind of like more so, I mean, to Matthew's point, if it is matches being put together quickly in like 2 weeks leading up, I prefer more when there is more of that build. But
so you like to slow roast your turkey?
Yes, or goose or hen or some other holiday bird. But then again, the difficulty with that in creating and building that storyline is pay-per-views. One for AEW, one for ROH, and that time in between. So maybe there could have been something built if there wasn't such a small time from, I can't think of the last full year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and we got Revolution coming up in, I think it's the first weekend of March, usually the end of February, first weekend of March as well. It's honestly, again, like I don't like my mashed potatoes touching my peas. I want my stuff separate. I'll eat the food, obviously. There's the KFC mashup bowl where it's all just kind of rolled into one, but I don't like my food touching each other. Let's talk about my matches. Go ahead, Matthew.
all based on having the peas touch the mashed potato. So they're actually dishes where the congealness of the pea and the potato, actually hot, that's the dish. But I do want to say for this dish called ROH, one thing I think that could have helped this whole process, and I don't know why they don't do more of it because Tony has the library. I think you would potentially drum up more interest. Show us more archival footage of Claudio. Show us more archival footage of these ROH talents that are wrestling in these matches and almost build it up like an ROH-centric storyline with what they have done in the company in the past. I think for somebody who honestly has been in and out of ROH for years based on TV distribution deals and whatnot, that would potentially drum up some interest for me, and seeing, more ROH-centric video footage. And also, too, one thing I want to throw out there, this is a very pay-per-view very close to Christmas. Why is there no company out there with a pay-per-view called Christmas Card? Huh? We're running down the card like Christmas Card. Wouldn't that be the great name for a pay-per-view because it's a card? You think Dave will change Blizzard Brawl to Christmas Card next year? Because
he's only built his brand for 16 years. So, yeah, of course he will.
Yeah, I think it's very reasonable.
Well, I don't want to jump too far ahead and off topic right now, but OVW tomorrow night, Christmas Chaos.
Oh,
there you go.
Taking place at LBI. I know we'll get to that later, Meathead. But to your point about the ROH archives, where I've seen a lot of that pop up, ironically, while I'm watching my OVW on Fight TV, they do have classic matches. Just last week, I saw a headline. It was Eddie Guerrero and, oh gosh, who was he facing? But it's just a match, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize they have
Bruno Sammartino.
Didn't realize that. No.
It never
But
happened.
just one of those, like, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that he was in Ring of Honor, or that the two of them, I can't think of who it was, but those classic matches where we see bits and pieces of on AEW right now.
I mean, just think about it. We could see you could see El Generico versus like a Bryan Danielson or something like that, All right. I don't like to have my segments pushed together like my peas and potatoes, so let's move on and talk about the ROH World Six-Man Championship. Dalton Castle and the boys, you Philly Gooses, taking on the Embassy, the Machine, Brian Cage, Khan, and Toa Leona, or Prince Nana. The championships have changed hands, and they belong, Linda, to the Embassy.
Again, I'm going to go off what is shown more prominently on AEW television. We have seen much more Brian Cage, Prince Nana, that trio there with Prince Nana, versus seeing much of Dalton Castle and the boys. And we saw them at that Diamond Ring Battle Royal recently, but as far as matches, again, I'm talking AEW Dynamite and AEW Rampage, not necessarily Dark Elevation. So again, I guess, while I definitely enjoy seeing Dalton Castle, and he likes to mention the Peacocks and then the boys, and I love the visuals, and having known
he's
the
a
boys
character.
when they were on OVW, was rooting for them, but with the title changing hands, maybe not too much of a surprise. Again, I'm going off of what we see more prominently on.
And he's a mustache kind of guy too, Matthew. Dalton Castle can rock a mustache.
Absolutely. Whatever you need to do to get Dalton Castle on my TV more frequently, please do, because this guy's an absolute star. And, I don't necessarily like it, but AEW is not afraid of a WWE plug like we see with MJF and the constant mentioning of the other company. You got the Peacock thing with Dalton Castle and the boys, then play that up a little bit. Throw us a few Peacock lines in there. But
why isn't Peacock the network sponsoring this?
Yeah.
No. Why doesn't he come out to do? Have Paul Giamatti come out in WNBC. All right.
And the more you know.
Yeah, that's right. How about a ROH Pure Championship match between the champion, Daniel Garcia, and Wheeler Yuta? Matthew Thomas, we have a winner and a new champion. This was a shock to me. Wheeler Yuta getting the ROH Pure Championship back.
Yeah. I mean, with these title changes and whatnot, it feels like a little bit of a reset in the ROH brand, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. So not to read too much into this, but, if they're changing a bunch of titles around, maybe there's a little new direction, with the company. Yeah, I really want a distribution deal and just some type of ROH.
How about HBO Discovery? Because I don't know if you guys heard, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but HBO Max, the name is going away. HBO Max is just about done. It's something called Max. It's a combination of HBO, Cinemax, and Discovery. Put me some ROH on that streaming platform. I'm ready. Let's go.
Absolutely. Dump the library, man.
Well, dump whatever you got to dump. But hey, did you see who the judges were for the ROH Peer Championship? It was Jerry Lynn, BJ Whittemer, and the unretired Christopher Daniels. Trent Seven, watching from the front row. Trent Seven, formerly of Mustache Mountain, Matthew Thomas. Matthew, it's been, I mean, I know you busted open from shaving, no pun intended there, but is next November, the first time you're going to attempt to do a Movember and try to grow a mustache?
You know what? You've given me enough motivation, and now,
I mean, look at this face.
Yeah, and now that we're a visual platform, I might see what I can. I might see what I can do. I might consult my my framed photo of Tom Selleck that I've got over here.
Yeah, there is a song in the movie A Million Ways to Die in the West that you may need to research first called the Mustache Song. So let's talk about the ROH World Tag Team Championship dog collar match. No segue available here. FTR, Cash Wheeler, even though Uncle Dax Hardwood has a very glorious mustache, taking on them boys. Mark and Jay Briscoe reach for the sky. The winners, new tag team champions, back home with the Ring of Honor tag team of really legend. Linda, it's the Briscoes.
Interesting, given the background of how the Briscoes are to not be on AEW television.
Correct.
Is that okay? So we just discussed a possible reset with all these title changes. Maybe this is, how we always say it's right in front of our faces. Perhaps some separate ROH programming, perhaps. But yeah, I mean, them boys synonymous with ROH and being the tag champions. Interesting though. I don't know if you caught. I believe that the tweet was from Dax, not Cash, but Dax Harwood, saying it's over. I think that's all his tweet said. Something along those lines. And remember, they just lost their chance at getting the AEW tag team.
Right, they lost in the main event on Dynamite, which we'll get to in a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, still triple tag team championship titles, now double. Still a major achievement. But
2022 has been an amazing year for FTR.
Oh yeah, that too. But seeing that tweet, that puts more thought or brings me to have more thought to what's going on here. But yeah, I mean, having the two of them, just obviously, you're gonna get a classic out of the two of those tag teams anytime they face one another.
And it was the third match in the trilogy. So Matthew Thomas, the third match going to the Briscoe boys. And then I want you to talk to us about the juice being loose with the king of television, Samoa Joe.
Yeah, I mean, in a little way, I'm somewhat relieved FTR lost the title, because I think for a little while now, that's been the gimmick and that's been the storyline, and there really hasn't been a ton of other substance. It's like, okay, they've got every belt. They kind of walk uncomfortably to the ring carrying all of this luggage more so.
I mean, think about the traveling. Linda, you travel. I mean, they got to check those bags.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's just like when you have multiple belts like that, I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to tell a story of, okay, this title means a lot to me. It's almost a better gimmick for a heel, like the belt collector thing that we saw from Omega a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's just like that's been the gimmick. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of been a prop. Like, I want a story with FTR.
Oh, titles are props, Matthew.
Yeah. If we can,
but let's bid this gimmick adieu.
We could sink our teeth into. But yeah, it's good to see Joe look strong. I like the reset, on Joe after his that run with Wardlow and their cute little name and this, that, and the other. I think it's really good to see, Joe destroying people. And, we were evidenced by that on free TV last week in that match with Darby, just to see Joe really, really strong. And I think this is
Joe. About half of that match.
Yeah. You need to call your cable provider there, Meathead.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Linda K, let's segue right into this. The main event and the theme of the night, reset. The Ocho, Chris Jericho, taking on Claudio Castagnoli, and this is for the ROH World Championship. A winner and new champion, a repeat champion now. Claudio is your champ.
Well, Jericho is on team a long time, and despite him not having that ROH title, that's okay. He's still a huge staple and part of Team Longtime. However, I will say this was a very unique finish. Him getting spun around till he taps out just due to the amount of spinning involved. That was very unique. I thought that was different. I like that, and just it being something different. And I also, this one could have gone either way, considering both factions, both the Blackpool Comic Club, and even talks about Jericho Appreciation
Bob
Society.
Jerrickson, yeah.
Yes, perhaps any type of breakups or splits, or just talks of things happening, given what's been happening as far as champions no more, or just members leaving, etc. This one could have gone either way, but Claudio's been back in pro wrestling television, but on AEW for quite a while now. I felt this was a good move to put the title on Claudio, especially with all those other changes. And we mentioned before, Wheeler Yuta is also now back as a peer champion as well. So we have 2 members of Blackpool Combat Club getting titles, where the other 2 from the JAS lost it. So that should be interesting to watch coming up.
Yeah, and we've obviously lost William Regal to serious injury, but the story being that William Regal will be coming back to WWE. He was asked to stay off TV for a year to continue to sell the story with William Regal being hurt by MJF, but he's going home to be with his son and just kind of hang out with his son and be at NXT. Now, I thought it was very unique that interview, and we're going to segue right into Dynamite here with this, even though we're jumping around. Thought it was very unique that the interview with Shivani and Regal was taped prior, and Tony was told to air this interview if anything happened to him with MJF. He says, and it was a reset for Regal. I thought it was probably the most clever thing I've seen in a while in any kind of wrestling, because we don't see things like this, right? Linda, your thoughts on the interview with Tony Schiavone and William Regal, saying that if anything happens to me, I want you to air this interview. That's why you, cameraman, are here. He named him by name. I don't know. It was Bob Jerrickson or whatever his name is. But Linda, your thoughts on the interview?
Yeah, it was very unique. And then just another way to have Regal communicate what he wanted to say, what he didn't get to say, when you've got the 3 standing members right there in the ring. You had Mox, you had Wheeler, you had Claudio, all in the ring. Or was Daniel Bryan out there? No, he wasn't, because he was with him at his bedside at the hospital. That's right. Just getting more of an explanation as to why he did what he did, and in a unique way, especially considering Regal's now, not fully gone from AEW, but that happening, that transition taking place, it was definitely something different.
Matthew Thomas, let's talk about Dynamite. And I cannot, unfortunately, I know the results, right? But I can't talk about how I saw it, because according to my local cable provider, I was stuck watching the end of Big Bang Theory for 47 minutes. And it was literally, and I don't know the character's name because I don't watch, but he's like this. And it was frozen. So, and it wasn't just TBS that was frozen. TNT was frozen as well. So it was Turner Broadcasting was frozen for all Time Warner customers, Spectrum customers across the country. So I didn't get in until Joe versus Darby Allin. Matthew Thomas, talk to us about the show opening up with the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. I didn't even see it, so I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, I kind of view this whole thing as them kind of booking themselves into a corner a little bit. It kind of came down to I believe it was Ricky and Ethan Page at the end there. And, we've got the thing where Ricky has got his title match. Well, we're going to go all in and have this for both here, the ring and the title. So, and I believe this was the first year, each year the Battle Royal was for the ring, right? It wasn't for a match for the...
Well, the ring gets you a match.
Yeah. So...
Well, this is the first year MJF couldn't win it.
Yeah. So... It's just, it's one of those things, and it's the first person to challenge a title holder since he won the title. I don't think anybody's expecting MJF to lose the title in a month. So you really have a hard time making the first contender credible. And it was fun. It was an interesting enough promo by Ricky there, but yeah, it's just, I think it's kind of a foregone conclusion, but they're just trying to make the road there as interesting as possible.
The winner of the match, Linda, was Ethan Page. Am I correct?
No.
Who won the ring?
It was Ricky Starks.
Ricky Starks won the ring. I thought he got eliminated by Ethan Page.
No, he won the battle royal because then he had a face-to-face. I know you might have missed this due to the issue from your cable.
Well, I mean, it kept going like this. I couldn't tell who was winning.
Meathead's Patreon to DirtySheets.com lap, so he's trying to go on the dark web and get his wrestling information now.
Mm-hmm.
Ahead,
no, there was a face-to-face.
Ricky Starks. Okay.
Yes, that was awesome though, right, Matthew? I know you saw that. We always knew that Ricky Starks, was great on the mic, but this was the best display I've seen, because I haven't seen MJF put in his place quite like how Ricky Starks did, and then it even let MJF scatter from the ring. I mean, he even lost his shoes, for goodness sakes, getting out of that ring. But to the point of MJF not losing the title after winning it a month later, this is fitting that he gets or most likely will be getting his diamond ring back this week at Winter is coming. But it is really putting forth the status and how great Ricky Starks could be as a future champion.
Yeah. And Linda, what surprised me, it was a much more vitriolic promo than you're used to seeing from a babyface, to the point of almost making me uncomfortable, because it's like, hey, you're not supposed to say things like that. You're still the good guy. It was different. It was very, very different.
So I have some quotes from the show. No offense, Richard, you ain't nothing more than a dollar store Dwayne. So I'm going to start calling you the Pebble. And here's what's going to happen next week in the main event. I'm going to put you in my pocket, hop in my Porsche, going to drive you to the nearest body of water. I'm going to skip you all the way back to Billy Corgan's NWA, where you belong. I don't care that you're absolute, because I'm a generational talent, and my reign of terror has just begun. Matthew?
Yeah, no, MJF being MJF, and you can kind of sit here all day and critique if there are references, especially MJF's, to WWE personalities benefits the company. I don't know, but it was what it was, and it's exactly what you would expect out of MJF.
King of Television, Samoa Joe and Darby Allin. We know that he had won his pay-per-view match, but this was beforehand. It's Darby Allin getting a shot at Joe. Oh, look at that. My show's back on. I get to watch Joe and Darby Allin now. But here's what I didn't like. Darby Allin got choked out, right? Unconscious at the end of this match. He was awake 10 seconds later and had all the energy in the world to go after Joe. Got to lay down and sell, brother. It bothers me. Matthew?
Yeah, and a couple things here. I was happy to see Darby out there by himself. I can't remember if he walked into the ramp or whatever. But
I don't know. I mean, it was still stuck on the bang there.
Yeah, I could be wrong.
He was out there, and it's kind of like, over time when your kid wants you to walk them into the classroom, and then they're like, "Daddy Sting, I can go in by myself." And then it's just, "Daddy Sting, can you walk me to
by myself.
Walk me to the door?" So I think we're seeing the gradual progression there. But yeah, it's more Darby booking, and I in a lot of ways wish Darby would be presented as a little bit more of an offensive threat. I mean, this match was 85% Joe, beat absolute tar out of him, with Darby getting a few quick spots of rejuvenated momentum there. But yeah, I mean, it's
which he has in spurts, apparently, because when he gets knocked unconscious, he gets it back in 10 seconds.
Yeah, but
he's hitting the A/B button over and over to regenerate.
Yeah, this is Darby being ragdoll the entire time, taking scary, scary bumps, which, I just, like I said, I'd like to see Darby potentially presented as a little bit more of a threat. But then again, realistically, you get somebody like him, somebody like Joe. I mean, I guess this does make the most sense in storyline perspective because of the size difference and everything there. So, I mean, I think they accomplished what they were trying to accomplish by making Joe just look super strong.
Linda, I want to talk to you about the main event. The Acclaimed, everybody loves them. AEW is Acclaimed every Wednesday, taking on Cash and Dax, Uncle Dax, FTR, the AAA, IWGP, and former ROH Tag Team Champions, even though they were ROH Tag Team Champions when they had this match. This match, I thought, was everything it should be.
Yeah, a lot of near falls, and both teams being fan favorites. The crowd was hype all up into it, as was I watching this, just being fans of both teams. But again, this was one that could have maybe gone either way. However, given just how huge the Acclaimed are, excuse me, right now. I thought it would have been kind of a shock for them to retain, considering FTR, as they have been even saying, the best tag team around.
Yeah.
But they were able to pull it off and clean. So a little nod from FTR to the Acclaimed right there. They even shook hands.
A little
at the end,
scissoring. A little scissoring. Yeah.
giving the people what they want, and different.
I got to
message
see
there,
it. Like I said, it worked at that point. So
yes. You know what
let-
though? I was just gonna say that was it September, was it, where we had the Bret Hart show here in
Yeah.
Wisconsin, Milwaukee area, where when it was Jay Lethal versus Dax Harwood, and I know you guys were there, but when I had that really really long intro for Dax Harwood.
Yeah.
Where I had to, or I was mentioning every accolade as far as the tag titles, but now it's going to be one less if
That's
he was
right.
to come to the area one more time.
My favorite memory of the whole show was, Linda, after all of that, you were calling out the winners. I'm like, oh, that's the winner. And you turn around. I think we might have a winner. No, Linda, it's just me being silly. Sorry.
I think you're quad bingo.
Yes, the raffle. That was you.
Let's talk about SmackDown real quick before we get into some Dynamite. Last week's SmackDown had Kurt Angle reuniting with his son.
Yes. That was great. It wasn't just a quick, hey, Dad. It started with a picture of a Jason Jordan showing a picture he had. A number one dad, I think was what it was.
Yeah.
I think it was an actual picture of him, probably like at 5 years old, and the embrace. What a moment.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. You know what I liked was a little bit of business that was done of Kurt Angle getting over Gable Steveson. Kurt Angle basically giving the rub to Gable Steveson. I think we're going to start seeing him very quickly start showing up on TV, Matthew. Is it time for Gable?
I think so. I mean, it'd be a nice little fusion of new star power, and it never hurts to be, associated with Kurt Angle in that capacity like that. So yeah, why not bring him on?
The Usos defeat Sheamus and Butch to retain the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. Excuse me. The Usos continue to be strong, look strong, and I don't have anything else to say about them. I don't have another adjective or superlative that I could throw onto this team.
Yeah, I mean, they're really at the point now where it's almost like a DX or a Horseman run, and the fact that they're still presented as heels. It's not so much teasing a babyface turn as the fact that the audience just doesn't care. These guys are over, and I mean, I think the bulk of that is due to Sammy. But you got to look too. I mean, there's a really interesting dynamic with everybody. The Sammy perspective, the Usos, and I think something too that gets overlooked a lot of times is kind of what Solo adds by just standing there very stoic and not saying a word. And, I think it's just a really, really good dynamic. And I mean, the Usos have been around for a while, but to see them, get this type of, in a year and a half ago when I was at SummerSlam in Vegas, that's one of my big takeaways was the response the Usos got at that time. You might not necessarily hear it on TV, but if you're in a ring, guys have been fan favorites for a long, long time. And I think this storyline with Sammy thrown in there has really been the vehicle they've needed to kind of take them to that next level.
Yeah. Matthew, a fan favorite of the man they call Meathead is L.A. Knight. Yeah. Let me talk to you. And he's got a big, meaty, pun intended, program to sink his teeth into with Bray Wyatt.
Absolutely. And we referenced it multiple times on this show. This is kind of the angle you didn't see coming out of anywhere. But my goodness, he's doing an outstanding job. And when you're putting him in a program, somebody with the likes of a Bray Wyatt, that is a stark contrast to his character. This guy's showing week after week that he absolutely belongs. And I like the job the announce team is doing of putting him over, when he's going after Wyatt or calling Wyatt out. He's like, this is very brave, but it's a very potentially dangerous move. So I think the subtle things that Barrett and Cole are doing to put him over is being well received as well too. So no, this was something, and this was not on my my bingo card for 2022 as far as potential storylines. But my goodness, they go so well together.
Linda, do you miss Max Dupree?
Oh my God, you read my mind. I was just going to say it is quite the contrast to how LA Knight was introduced to our SmackDown programming there. very different. And to Matthew's point, there's no mention of that or of LA Knight's association with Maximum Male Models during this current feud storyline with Bray Wyatt. So I do miss seeing more of Maximum Male Models. I know they're still around. There was something put out on WWE YouTube that I was actually going to send you guys. It was a new vignette featuring Maxine Dupree with the guys. Quite hilarious, but showing a little bit more of the funny ha-ha side versus just the posing. It was a fun vignette where, again, I still think there's something there with that. There's some money on that. I think.
Do you think that's a fashion police type deal that we might have coming with those two?
Something along those lines, yeah. I mean, we've seen them in a couple matches. They haven't won any from what I've seen, but why not give us some more of the fashion line debuts? That was just something different. And I mean, especially when McAfee was at commentary, how much he put that over too.
Well, you know, college football season's almost over.
Yeah.
Will McAfee join and make it a 3-man booth?
That could be
fun
right there.
Could you see Michael Cole, Wade Barrett, and Pat McAfee?
I would enjoy the dynamic between Barrett and McAfee. I think that really.
I think Barrett would get irritated quick on air, and I think that would make for good TV.
Yeah. And, somebody else I would not mind seeing him mixed up with, and somebody who's really been coming into his own on commentary on NXT is Booker T. Give me Booker.
Coming into his own, Booker T's been amazing on commentary for years.
Yeah,
quack, shuck and ducky.
But on the main roster, to me, it was always
Booker T ran on SmackDown for a while.
Yeah, it never landed with me on the main roster like it's doing on NXT now. And I think it's because he's able to go a little bit more into kind of a heel commentator role, not all the way there, but I like the lane that he's currently in NXT. Okay. It feels a little bit different, a little less campy, I guess, than it did on the main roster.
Did you hear what he was saying about New Day during the Deadline pay-per-view too? Just totally shooting them down that whole time. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Wow. Yeah.
Let's talk about the main event segment. Kurt Angle shooting his milk everywhere again. Kurt Angle with no cap on top of it, and Gable just cheering him on. I mean, the picture of him grunting with the white stuff, the white foamy coming out of the center there. But it's funny stuff.
We gotta check that out. I did see the.
That's on fansonly.com apparently.
No, great to see. I was expecting that once the milk truck came out. I know they were tossing out the bottles, but you had to know that hose was coming out.
Yes. Kurt pulled his hose out and shot it all over. Yes, I understand. There's
a
lot of fun
if you weren't paying too close attention, Michael Cole was having a ball at the end of that with all of his milk. Yeah, he was having a great time.
Okay, Matthew, let's go right into Rampage, which again, thank you, Spectrum, for not allowing me to watch until damn near halfway through the show, and it's an hour program. But I am thankful for Spectrum for not having to see the bloody mess that was Jon Moxley, Kanesko Takeshita.
Yeah.
Matthew. Yep.
Yeah, no, we talked about it a little bit off air, man. He's been so long since he's bladed, and he just had all that pent up blood that was ready to just gush out after he hadn't bladed on TV in a while. So, they probably finally said, "All right, John, you've been a good boy, man. Go at it."
There was some good coagulating.
Ooh.
Coagulating, nice. I love coagulating. Nice. Hey, Linda, I want to coagulate this title into our conversation with Rampage here. We've defended a new title on Rampage now, probably the 12th one that we've ever defended on Rampage and Dynamite. The Regina D Wave Championship match. Hikaru Shida took on the Bunny. How many different belts have we literally defended on AEW television? I feel like that's the 12th. Honestly, I mean, if you think about ROH, if you think about New Japan, if you think about AAA, if you think about AEW, 12 is a very generous number.
That's an introduction as far as the promotion to AEW television. Didn't know much about that. I know now it's a women's only promotion in Japan that's been well. What's the word? Well, I can't remember what I'm trying to say. No,
received.
When you're a champion and you are a great champion, what's that word?
Macaroni and cheese. I don't know.
Well held. By Shida, I think since August is what they mentioned. So that's just maybe showing to me that there's still the forbidden door open and.
Mm-hmm.
that's
Well,
open it to some female.
let's-
pro wrestlers in Japan
Let's
as
talk
well.
about this. Let's talk about this real quick. We're kind of jumping around here, and this is on me. But the ROH presser that came after Final Battle, there was no official announcement of Ring of Honor going to have its own TV deal, distribution deal, whatever. But there was talk of them working with other promotions. So I don't know if that means they're going to be on other people's TV. But I mean, they said the Forbidden Door is always going to be somewhat open. People can get in through the Forbidden Door. Tony Khan, that is very welcome to having different promotions come in and out. Me personally, like I said, keep the bananas out of my Cheerios, and I just want AEW to be AEW. Let me see AEW storylines because they get buried, and you have all this AEW talent that you sign that's nowhere to be found right now. Let's talk about where my show kicked back in again. Freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy with the best friends taking on Kip Sabian's choice, Trent Seven. Trent Seven in the house. My favorite part was we've had enough talk. It's time for the main event. Oh, Danhausen, you don't have to wrestle. I really don't need Danhausen to wrestle. Just let Danhausen do his thing. Linda, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy and Trent Seven in the main event.
Oh, yeah. What I really remember most ones is the intro to lead up to that. Mark Henry's like, "Don't do that," and then
it's fantastic.
But no, I think that last week on Rampage, it was Orange Cassidy that closed it out for the Atlantic title.
Yeah,
as well,
that belt's been defended a lot, and actually, it's funny because the best friends seem to be the ones that continue to interrupt Mark Henry. Because there was a point where Orange is in the main event, and he goes, "Hold on, it seems like we've had enough talk. It's time for the main event." He goes, "That's my thing." Again, I look forward to it. Matthew Thomas, your thoughts on Dustin Rhodes coming out and hitting some flip, flop, and fly offense, with the assistance of Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, Dustin's always well received, and I think now that he's announced his
well
last
received on Busted Open as well, apparently, courtesy of Blizzard Brawl.
Absolutely, getting Blizzard Brawl audio clip picked up on Busted Open earlier or last week, as a matter of fact. But no, I think there's always a really good reception for Dustin, and I think it can really be kind of pinpointed this year if they do it right. So I don't know if they go a route kind of like they do with Mickey James, where it's I wrestle till I lose or whatever, but just give us more Dustin and give us Dustin more often, and I think it's a win-win.
Hey, getting more wrestling often in the Milwaukee area tonight. WWE's Raw is War. No, this WWE Raw live from Milwaukee at the Pfizer Forum. We got a lot of big stuff out of Corey Graves last week when we heard, hey, we're going to have this big match next week in Milwaukee. Meathead used to geek for stuff like that because then I'd cut it up, chop it up, and I'd have audio files for days, right? Linda, Matthew, Raw in Milwaukee tonight. What are we expecting to see? Plus, Linda, I know you got some big OV dub news as well.
Right. Well, shortly after we wrap this up here, I got to start heading downtown here for Raw tonight. You mentioned Raw is War. Might I mention Monday Night Rollins tonight as well in his big match? To be him and Bobby Lashley to see the number one contender would be for
Theories US. Yeah.
Yes. We also have a number one contenders match with Alexa Bliss and Bayley to look forward to, as well as other shenanigans taking place in Milwaukee, which, if you didn't miss it last week, Corey Graves did mention, after he mentioned it being in Milwaukee, he did say, or Milwaukee, which is the good land in Algonquin.
Algonquin for the good land.
Yes, Wayne's World, baby. So excited for that. And then after Raw tonight, I am going to be hitting the road once again to head back down to the Ville. It is our huge annual Christmas special. No, it's not Christmas card, but it's Christmas chaos. A lot of titles on the line there, including our current OVW Rush Division champion, our pal, the Fanny Pack Kid, Cal Hero, who will be now defending not just former Rush Division champion Luke Curtis, but it's a triple threat match between Luke Curtis, Star Rider, and Cal Hero, as well as a bunch of other matches. I'll be down there in the ring. It's always a crazy time, and word is Jolly Old Santa will be making an appearance as well.
Uncle Santa?
No, not Uncle Santa, but Jolly Old Saint Nick.
Okay.
Jolly Old Santa. But anywho, so make sure to check that out. It is on free television, so we are going to have it live, taking place live tomorrow night. Oh my gosh, we also are going to have a steel cage match, which we don't often have down at OVW, but it's going to be between Tony Gunn and Jesse Goddard.
Shotgun Tony Gunn
match. So if you are not in the Louisville area and can't make it, well, first off, you can go to ovwrestling.com. Limited tickets are available, but if you won't be able to make it, it will air in the regular time Thursday nights on Fight TV, and that is for free. Fight TV. 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. You can check out Christmas Chaos airing this Thursday night, or you can be there live at Davis Arena tomorrow night. Check it out.
Linda, can you mention the whole Christmas card idea to Al when the situation arises? Be like, hey, it's a great name and everything, but I think you can take it up a level.
Yeah, that is unique. I wouldn't be surprised, Matthew, if there's so many promotions out there right now that I see Christmas card out there soon. We should get the credits for that right here on PWR Weekly.
That's fantastic. All right. Well, it's been a hell of a show, and it's been a great week so far. We'll talk to you guys again next week with more results from Milwaukee, from OVW, and so much more. For Linda Thomas, for Matthew K. Yeah, that's what I did. I did it backwards. Yeah. For Matthew Thomas, for the lovely Linda K. I'm the man they call Meathead. Hey, thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you guys next week. So long, everyone.